Sound check 1 2 3. Sound check 1 2 3.
Okay, folks, I think we're going live. Not that I want to interrupt the fun that folks are having. It's good to see. I want to let folks know that we are live. Madam Clerk, could you please confirm that quorum is present?
Madam Mayor, quorum is present.
Thanks so very much. Good morning, everyone. It's time to call the meeting of City Council to order. And of course, as always, I want to welcome folks. I think most of us are around the Horseshoe. We have Councillors Kassar, Clark, Danko, Francis, Huang, Kretsch, McMeekin, Nan, Pauls, Taddison, Alex Wilson and Maureen Wilson around the table with us. I don't know that we have anybody coming in from afar, but welcome everyone and looking forward to an excellent meeting this morning. And of course, we will begin with the national anthem. So please stand. Thanks. Please be seated. The City of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which is an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Today, the City of Hamilton is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we recognize that we must do more to learn about the rich history of this land so that we can better understand our roles as residents, neighbours, partners, and caretakers. Members are reminded that all electronic devices are to be switched to a non-audible function during council meetings. And we'll get right into the business of this morning with the approval of the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, excuse me. Yes, Mayor Horwath. There are two added communication items. 5.9, which is correspondence from Joseph Werisk, respecting the October 6th article in CBC Hamilton, which announced that the Hamilton Association for Tiny Shelters would no longer be erecting tiny shelters in Strachan Linear Park, with the recommendation to be received and referred to the General Manager of Healthy and Safe Communities for appropriate action. 5.10 is correspondence from Joshua Werisk. I can't say, is that, pardon me? Werish. In support of the request for the Planning Committee to consider the institution of an extreme noise bylaw, as had been done in Brampton, Ontario. Recommendation be received and referred to the consideration of item DI of Planning Committee Report 23-016. There are two changes to the disposition of the communication items. 5.1 is now being received and referred to the General Manager of Planning and Economic Development for appropriate action. And the 5.2, which is correspondence from Joseph Minor respecting PFAS and PFOS. There are three items there that are being received and referred to the General Manager of Planning and Economic Development for appropriate action. There are two added notices of motion. 8.1, requirement for any landfill expansion applications to obtain municipal support. 8.2, waste collection fees for condominium communities located on cul-de-sacs. There is one added private and confidential matter, 11.1, appointments to the Hamilton Public Library Board of Directors for the 2022 to 2026 council term.
Thanks very much. Clerk Pilon, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended, please? Moved by Councillor Nan, seconded by Councillor Pauls. Any discussion on the agenda as amended? Seeing none, we'll then go to the vote. Sal, could you put the vote up for us, please? That carries 13-0. Thank you very much. We are now on to declarations of interest, members of council. Are there any declarations of interest today? Councillor Clark, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. It is in the Planning Committee meeting, item number 6, application for zoning bylaw amendment for lands located at 1177, 1183, and 1187 West 5th Street. The planner for the applicant is Urban Solutions Planning and Land Development. The owner of that company, Sergio Mancha, has a business interest with my son, so I have a disqualifying pecuniary interest on that item.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll come to you for the proper vote when the time comes. Any other declarations of interest from members of council for today's agenda? No? Okay, thank you very much then. Let's see, we'll go on to, there are no ceremonial activities, so we'll go on to the approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Oh, Councillor Huang, something.
I think today is current city manager Jeanette Smith's last council day, so I thought maybe we should just acknowledge all of the good work that she's done and thank her for all of the service she's done to the city of Hamilton.
Well, thank you very much, Councillor Huang, for that. Let's give Jeanette Smith, the city manager outgoing, a round of applause. And we do, thank you for that. I appreciate it. We do want to remind folks that there's a bit of a shindig this afternoon to celebrate the city manager's work here at the City of Hamilton. I believe it begins at 3 o'clock in the forecourt. So anybody watching who wants to join us, please, please do. And thank you again on the record for all of your years of service, not only here but in many roles to the public. You've done some amazing work over the years, so thank you so much for spending some of it here in Hamilton. Okay, so then we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, September 27th, 2023. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 27th, 2023 meeting as presented? Moved by Councillor McMeekin, seconded by Councillor Taddison. Any discussion on those minutes, folks? Okay, I don't see any. We can then move it directly then to the vote. That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. On to communications. Councillor Taddison, may I have a motion on the communications items?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor A. Wilson, that Council Communications 5.1 to 5.10 be approved as presented.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on any of the communication items? Councillor Clark, please.
Just on item 5.2, which is correspondence from Joseph Minor with regards to PFAS. It says it's being referred to planning and economic development for appropriate action. Can someone define what appropriate action is?
Thank you, Councillor Clark. I'm not sure who might want to address that. General Manager Thorne, actually Acting City Manager Thorne, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So through the chair, what we can do is take that back. I haven't had a chance to go through the correspondence in detail, but we do have regular meetings with the airport through the Economic Development Division. So if there's matters that we can raise with them through that discussion, we also have ongoing discussions with them around their lease, and the Economic Development Division is responsible for overseeing and managing that lease arrangement with the airport. So if there's elements that are relevant to that, it could also inform those discussions.
And Madam Mayor, if I can suggest, this has a compelling public interest, especially in the Glanbrook area. And there's been ongoing concern. The previous Councillor Brenda Johnson, raised it many, many times. Councillor Tattison has picked up where Councillor Johnson has left off and continues to advocate for the community. But if there's going to be a report, it needs to be something that's public. We need to be able to explain to the public where we are, what has occurred, what the history is. It's a very complicated file, but we have not had a report on that in quite some time in terms of what the status is today, let alone what happened before. So if somehow that can be added to the staff direction, that we get a report back on that at GIC, I think that would be very helpful.
Thanks for that, Councillor Clark. Is that something that can be achieved? I don't know that this is something that can be done very quickly, because you're right, and there has been, as I read the correspondence, there have been changes in terms of the assessment of the effect of the contaminants and the thresholds of acceptability, et cetera, and so that might take a little bit of time. So I think if you're willing to wait a little bit so that the staff can do a thorough report back on these issues, it might be appropriate.
Yes, I'd like a comprehensive report so that all of the new councillors can be briefed on this file. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. And that's, so we're getting the agreement that that's something that the staff will undertake for us. So thanks for that. Is there any further discussion on the, Councillor Maureen Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mayor Horwath. My indicator in eScribe is not responding. I would appreciate an opportunity for clarity on the public record with respect to ongoing work that is being done in our Public Works Department, traffic specifically. It is with respect to correspondence 5.7, advocating for, I believe, a no right turn on red. Could I please have a summation of any previous direction that has or has not been given by council on that? Thank you.
No, thanks. I would send that over to GM Can, please, or City Manager Thorne, but I think GM Can would be the one.
Through the chair to the councillor, I don't have that information with me, Andy. Just looking on the screen there, we will get back either through a communications update to the councillor and all of committee on that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Any further comments, questions on the correspondence? Seeing none, then we can then go to the vote on the receipt of the correspondence and the recommended actions. That carries 14-0. Thank you very much. We're now moving into Committee of the Whole. Councillor Tattison, may I have a motion to move into Committee of the Whole, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor A. Wilson, that Council move into Committee of the Whole for consideration of the committee reports.
Can we have the vote up on that, please? That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. Item Item on the committee reports, item 6.1, Public Health Committee Report 23-010, October 2nd, 2023. Councillor Maureen Wilson, may I please have the motion to receive and approve the recommendations within the Public Health Committee report?
Thank you. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Alex Wilson, that the Public Health Committee Report 23-010, being the meeting held on Monday, October the 2nd, 2023, be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved.
Are there any items, thank you very much, Councillor Wilson, are there any items within the report that members would like to speak to, amend, or have voted on separately? Seeing none, we will then go to the vote. That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. We are now on to 6.2, Public Works Committee Report 23-014, October 2nd, 2023. Councillor Nan, may I please have a motion to receive and approve the recommendations within the Public Works Committee report?
Certainly. The Public Works Committee Report 23-014, being the meeting that was held on Monday, October 2nd, 2023, be received, and the recommendations contained therein be approved, moved by myself and seconded by Vice Chair Pauls.
Thanks very much. Are there any items within the report that members would like to speak to, amend, or have voted on separately? Councillor Huang?
Thank you. I'd like to just thank the good work of Hamilton Water, especially for item number 1, the Woodward Upgrades construction update. It is a massive undertaking, and we still have more work to do, but just for council to know, there is an open house happening this Saturday, so if anybody is interested, I will be there, but if anybody is interested in attending, it is happening on Saturday from in the morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Isn't that a fantastic facility in your ward, Councillor Nan? It is. Or Councillor Huang? Yes, it is. Okay, very good. Is there any other comments or issues that people want to raise regarding this particular report? Okay, thanks so much then. We'll have the vote up, please. That carries 14-0. Thank you. We're now on to the Planning Committee Report 23-016, October 3rd, 2023. Councillor Danko, may I please have a motion to receive and approve the recommendations within the Planning Committee report? And I believe you have an amendment.
You may, that the Planning Committee Report 23-016, being the meeting held on Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved. This is moved by myself, seconded by First Vice Chair, Councillor Tammy Wang.
Okay, thank you. So then there are a couple of things here. I believe you have an amendment, but I also know that we have to, when the vote comes, separate out a couple of items for Councillor Clark's declaration. Councillor Clark, can you just remind me what those numbers are so that it's easy for me? 6? Thank you. Okay. So then please go ahead, Councillor Danko, with your amendment.
This is an amendment to item 3 on the Planning Committee report, which was an application for zoning bylaw amendment for lands located at 212 and 220 Rymal Road West in Hamilton. Committee denied this application, and as a result, we do have to provide some planning justification as to why this application was denied. So the amending motion is basically a housekeeping motion that puts on the record the planning rationale for the denial. Was this circulated to everyone? Should I read it into the record? I'll read it.
You can read it, or we can put it up on the screen.
I'll just read the points, the reasons for denial. Point 1, that the proposal does not support orderly development in the lands The proposal does not support orderly development in that the land should be developed in conjunction with the draft plan of subdivision to the rear of the lands. 2, the proposal is not consistent with the land use density and housing mix requirement to support future high-order transit. And 3, that the individual driveway accesses will not minimize traffic conflicts.
Thanks very much. Is there any comment on the amendment? Okay, that's seconded by Councillor Maureen Wilson. Any further any discussion at all? Any further discussion? Councillor McMeekin, please. Oh, okay. So we'll need to deal with the amendment first. Councillor Clark.
Sorry, Mayor, I was not present for the planning committee. I don't serve on that committee. So if I could just have a brief rationale as to where we are.
Thanks, Councillor Clark. We can look to the chair or the acting general manager for that response. Acting General Manager Robichaud, please.
Madam Mayor, sorry, I did not an update in terms of which matter, Councillor? Sorry, I apologize.
This is the amendment from
item
Councillor.
3, and I understand that it was recommended by staff, but the planning committee denied it. So I'm just trying to understand what's the difference between those two recommendations.
Sorry, I apologize. Through the Mayor to the Councillor, the purpose of the application was to rezone the front portion to allow for single detached dwellings. Rymal Road has been identified as a primary corridor. And as indicated at the Planning Committee meeting, staff are currently in the process of updating the zoning bylaw to implement the official plan along the corridors to pre-zone them for either medium density, high density, or transit-oriented uses. So as indicated, and then it's intended to start bringing forward the updated zoning in terms of the medium density late this year, early next year, and then the high density later on into 2024, so that because we were dealing with an application dating back to 2020 or 2020, it was simply a matter of bringing forward that application as submitted. The balance of the applications, the applicant did not know what they were going to use it for, but that ultimately, yes, to rezone these lands to allow singles, although that's what the old neighborhood plan envisioned for this site, it doesn't reflect the new vision outlined in the official plan. And it was on the basis of the new vision in the official plan for medium or higher density uses along this stretch of Rymal was committee's opposition to the application. Thank you.
Councillor Clark.
Just one further question. So given that the original application was in 2020 and we've now changed our urban official plan, the applicant should have been complying with the new UHOP?
Through you, Madam Chairman, the applicant does have the opportunity to use the clergy principle, where they could say that they finish off under the planning framework under which they initiated their application. However, in speaking with the applicant's consultant, they indicated that on the basis of the new information that was provided about the timing of the medium density and high density zoning, they were going to wait and see, and then if that zoning does get adopted by council, then they will implement that zoning. So the applicant really has the benefit of the choice of either finishing off under the old policy regime or taking advantage of the new policy regime. But in my understanding is that the applicant is prepared to accept council's decision that this application be denied on the assumption, on the basis that there be future zoning coming forward, which will allow for medium and higher density uses. And that was the information in speaking with the applicant agent last week. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll support it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Clark. Any further discussion on this item? Okay. Anything else that folks wanted to raise on this report? Councillor McMeekin, please.
Item 8, I'd like to have that separated out.
Just for a separate vote?
Yes, I'm opposed to that, and I want to go on the record.
Okay. I don't see any further discussion. So we'll go to the amendment first. Moved by Councillor Danko and seconded by Councillor Maureen Wilson on the amendment as discussed. The vote is up. And that carries 14-0. Thanks very much. We will now go to a separate vote on item 6, as per the request of Councillor Clark, so that he can identify his interest. So can we have that item up, please? Item 6. And item 8 for Councillor McMeekin in a moment. So Councillor Clark has identified an interest in this item, so he needs to be on the record. Thank you. 6.3. And that carries 13-0 with the one conflict recorded. And then there was a request to pull item 8 for a separate vote as well in this report. And so this is sign variance appeal SV 14-005 for 523 Carlisle Road in Flamborough. And that is before us. Oh, Councillor Kretsch has a question on this item.
Yeah, I'm just mildly confused about our vote here, because the original report, I believe, was to vote yes to uphold the staff recommendation to deny the appeal. So voting yes here would be to do the same thing?
Yes, to agree with what the committee recommendation is that's before us.
I just wanted to make sure. Sorry, I got confused there. Thank you.
No, that's better know what we're doing than not. So that's upholding the committee's decision then on item 8, and we're back to the vote. And that carries 13-1. Thanks very much. And then on the balance of the report as a whole, please. The vote is up. Thank you. That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. Let's see, we're now on to item 6.4, which is the General Issues Committee Report 23-026, October 4th, 2023. Councillor Taddison, Deputy Mayor Taddison, may I please have a motion to receive and approve the recommendations within the General Issues Committee Report?
Certainly, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Alex Wilson, that the General Issues Committee Report 23-026, being the meeting held on Wednesday, October 4th, 2023, be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved.
And their seconder? Councillor Wilson? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Are there any matters that folks would like to have discussed or speak to or amended or voted on separately? Councillor Maureen Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I would appreciate a separate vote on item 6, which is a motion with respect to meta advertising.
Okay. Anything further on that, or?
I voiced my opposition at committee. I believe while there are exceptions, our communication with the federal government should be primarily focused on a new fiscal framework, housing, and the environment. I don't believe this is our fight to engage in. I believe C18 was not fully informed when it was created. It's my opinion that it's not going to be successful. I don't believe it addresses the issues that are actually facing legacy media, and I will be voting in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you. I'd like to have item 7, the Human Rights Litigation Information Update, referred to in camera. I have some questions, and I can't ask the questions in public.
Clerk Pilon, please.
If we're going to discuss a confidential item, it'll have to be The GIC report will have to be deferred until after closed session.
Okay, that's fine.
However it happens, please.
Okay, so then we'll defer the remainder, we'll defer the further discussion on this report to post private and confidential so that Councillor Clark can ask the questions that he's interested in asking, which have to be asked in camera. All right, so then we'll move on to, please just remind me when we get to that we're going to have a separate vote on item 7, item, which one, 6? Thank you.
We can do that after
Yes,
we rise
absolutely.
from closed.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then we're on to the Audit, Finance, and Administration Committee report, 23-015, October 5th, 2023. Councillor Kretsch, may I please have a motion to receive and approve the recommendations within the Audit, Finance, and Administration Committee report? Oh, I'm sorry.
Madam Mayor, we'll require a motion to defer the consideration of the GIC report.
Of course, okay, I'm sorry. Absolutely. Can we have that motion then to defer the GIC report, moved by Councillor Nan, seconded by Councillor Spadafora? Can we have the vote up, please? That carries 14-0. Let's see. So where were we? Councillor Kretsch with the Audit, Finance, and Administration Committee report, putting it on the table, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Vice Chair Councillor Huang that we defer the consideration of this report until after the closed session to get legal advice on item number 6. Am I doing this in the wrong order? Should I put it on the table first and then we should do the deferral?
That needs to go on the table.
That is the way it would normally happen.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's put it on the table first. I'll move it. Councillor Huang will second it. With the Audit, Finance, and Administration Committee report, 23-015 being the meeting held on Thursday, October 5th, be received and the recommendations be approved.
Okay, and then on the report, that's moved by Councillor Kretsch and seconded by Councillor Huang.
And now Councillor
Now
Kretsch
that it's on the floor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I have in my roadmap here, item 5, respecting commercial relationships between City of Hamilton and Fairview Electric Services is the reason?
No, number 6. Hamilton Police Services and Hamilton Public Library surpluses and deficits. So to get legal advice on that.
Okay, Clerk Pilon, please.
Councillor Kretsch advised me prior to the meeting that he'd like to go to closed session to discuss item 5.
I meant item 6, sorry.
So it's not closed session.
There's legal advice.
Was there a... That wasn't a confidential matter at AFNA.
I don't know what else to say about it, but I want to go into closed session to discuss that because there's legal advice.
Can I just, I don't know what the procedural order is when it comes to this particular item, but there is a lot of, there are a lot of questions that remain. I was hoping to hand the chair over to Councillor Taddison in order to refer this matter to the Police Services Board and the Library Board for comment, and then report back with staff recommendations to a further GIC meeting. That's how I was hoping to get some clarity around all of this. So I don't know whether the referral motion is in order, whether deferring to an in-camera session is in order. I would look to an understanding of that. From the clerk, please.
When Councillor Kretsch talked to me prior to the meeting, I thought it was regarding the confidential matter that was discussed at AFNA, which is the commercial relationship. And that is what I've put into your procedures. I just changed your procedures. I wasn't aware that he wanted to go into close to discuss item 6. Okay, so
I'm happy to withdraw my motion to defer. If you want to have your motion to refer, it's fine with me. If they want to ask the other boards, nothing wrong with that.
and
I
then,
think the point is
No
that
rush.
people just need to have an understanding of what it is that this is all about.
and that would be the
no
most
rush.
appropriate way. Then you've got the comments back, and then if necessary, you can go into closed
The
at
next
that
res-
time.
That sounds great to me. Thanks.
So then that's over to you, Councillor Taddison.
Oh, no, I was just waiting to,
So you're I'm
okay.
handing the chair over to you because I'm
Thank
putting
you.
a referral motion on the floor.
go ahead, Madam Mayor.
So my motion is that we refer this item to the Hamilton Police Services Board and to the Hamilton Public Library Board for comment, and then have it come back to GIC. These are the instructions. Have it come back to GIC with staff recommendations. And we have Councillor Clark and seconded by Councillor Kretsch. And Councillor Clark wanted to speak to it.
So the question that I would have for legal staff is the Ontario Police Services Act restricts municipalities from dealing specifically with any line item. We can approve their budget or deny their budget, but we can't insert ourselves into line items on the budget. And this change, and I'm happy to debate that change, I'm trying to understand how we could do what is being proposed here, and I can't make a determination without having legal advice. So at some point, whether before or after, I think we need legal advice to understand exactly what we're sending to the Police Services Board.
I believe Councillor Taddison is actually supposed to be in the chair, and there's the only debate on the instructions of the referral. Just to help you out there, Councillor Taddison.
So then to the chair, here I go again, can we add to the instruction that we get legal advice with regards to how the Ontario Police Service Act applies to this recommendation? I think that's fair instruction.
Can we go to legal services right now?
No.
Let's not. And let's just go with the mayor's suggestions.
So I don't know if the clerk can help. It was probably more appropriate for the clerk to help in terms of the procedure here.
You have a report coming back to GIC. If legal advice is required in order to make a decision, it wouldn't be out of order to add that legal advice as an appendix, a confidential appendix to the report. So it is in order.
So if that, I'm happy to leave it as a friendly amendment to your referral. Thank you.
Okay, we'll accept that then. Councillor Nan?
I'm on the
Okay, Councillor Pauls?
First of all, I'm glad, Mayor, that you're referring this to the police board where it should have been put in the first place. I'm on the police board, and I had no idea this was coming to council. And I talked to the integrity commissioner, and they say I can talk about it because even though it's concerning finances, but I'm also, I want to be clear that this was not put on the police board, and I think that's where it should be and referred to the GIC. So I want to thank the mayor for doing that, and I will fully participate on that discussion on the police board.
Thank you, Councillor Pauls. Councillor Nan?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So I'm clear, referral motions, we're only debating the instructions. Right, thank you. So similarly to the intervention that Councillor Clark made on the instructions, if we're going to be getting legal advice in an appendices to the report back, May we also get clarity about the Hamilton Public Library Act as well? I think that should committee and council be making decisions about either boards, that we be very clear about what limitations or opportunities there are in both acts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nan. I think that would be prudent. I can't hear. Councillor McMeekin.
I was going to raise the same point Councillor Nan did, so I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Okay. Let's back to you, Mayor. Oh, let's go to the vote. That vote carries 14-0. Back to you, Mayor.
Thanks very much, Deputy Mayor Taddison. Good job. So then we're on to the balance of the report.
The report as amended.
Yes, the balance of the report as amended. Are there any other items that folks wanted to raise or have discussed separately or voted on separately? Seeing none? There we go. That was then moved by Councillor Fretch and seconded by Councillor Huang. And we'll have the vote up, please. That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. We're now on to motions. We have 7.1, appointments to the Public Works Committee. Councillor Taddison, would you please present your motion?
With pleasure, Mayor. Moved by Councillor Taddison, seconded by Councillor Cassar, appointment to the Public Works Committee, that Councillor Tammy Wang be appointed to the Public Works Committee for the remainder of the 2022-2026 term of council, effective immediately.
Okay, thank you. It's seconded by?
Councillor Cassar.
Sorry, that's great. Well, I don't know. I'm sure there'll be lots of conversation about this. Would people like to weigh in on this motion?
Or honey cake.
Councillor Nan, please.
Thank you, Mayor. As chair, very happy to support the motion and wanted to just check in with Councillor Clark because you'll be the remaining council member not on Public Works Committee. So just wanted to check in. Thanks.
I've always been happy being alone, so I'm fine.
Very good. Very good. Okay, well, thanks very much, all. Then we will go to the vote on the appointment to the Public Works Committee motion tabled by Councillor Taddison and seconded by Councillor Cassar. Oh, that carries 14-0. Congratulations, Councillor Huang. Thanks so much. Okay, so then we're on to 7.2, which is the change to the October 31st, 2023 Planning Committee meeting start time. Councillor Danko, would you please present your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't believe this motion is necessary. The reason for putting this forward was that 4 of us on Planning Committee are going to be at the city manager recruitment meetings that day. So we were not going to be available for the morning of Planning Committee, which leaves 8, and we need 7 for quorum. So there's a question whether we're going to be able to make quorum. So I've heard from 7 that are confirmed their attendance. The only one I haven't heard from is Councillor McMeekin, and he's nodding.
Whatever you want to do, I'm
So we do have quorum confirmed with the 9:30 start time, so it's really up to committee if they want to maintain the 9:30 start time with that 8 there for quorum, or if they want to switch the time to 1:30. So I think everybody is okay with the original 9:30 start time, so then in which case this motion is not necessary.
My only concern would be, Councillor Danko, that if someone fell ill and was unable to attend, then you wouldn't have the quorum. And so then you would be
Fair.
pushing everything over.
We need 7.
I'll be in the other committee meeting.
We need 7 for quorum. There's 8 are confirmed.
Okay, so that,
We can withdraw that motion.
okay, so that motion is withdrawn and we'll move on. Thanks very much. So then we're on to notices of motion. The 8.1, Councillor Clark, will you have a notice of motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll read the motion. It's very short. Requirement for any landfill expansion applications to obtain municipal support. Whereas Bill 197 included a new Environmental Assessment Act, Section 6.0.1 in Part 2, which requires a private proponent of an undertaking to establish a landfilling site to obtain municipal support for the undertaking in accordance with the section. And whereas this provision has unintentionally increased private proponent landfill expansions, therefore be it resolved that the City of Hamilton formally request an amendment to the Section 6.0.1 in Part 2 of the Environmental Assessment Act to require private proponents to obtain municipal support for any landfill expansion application. I'll leave it as a notice. I'm trying to get our oars in the water before GFL decides, oh, we might want to build this mountain a little bit higher. So that's that one. And can I go on to the next item?
Sure, thank you very much. Please go then on to your next one, which is 8.2.
Thank you, Mayor. This is waste collection fees for condominium communities located on cul-de-sacs, whereas there is a policy directing city waste vehicle staff to not reverse from cul-de-sacs, etc. Whereas several condo communities in Ward 9 are required to retain private waste collection due to this policy. Whereas the city's selected private waste company, GFL, has willingly entered into private agreements with these condo communities to remove their waste, enabling GFL to reverse from any cul-de-sac with a safety person, whereas condo communities were denied city pickups due to the no reversing rule, whereas condo communities still pay taxes for a city waste collection service as well as paying their private contractor, given that the city has denied them this service, and whereas the city's own contractor, GFL, is willing to safely pick up waste by reversing from cul-de-sacs with a safety person, therefore be it resolved that staff report back to the Public Works Committee with a preferred option to either have the city compensate such condo boards for the denied service through tax credits, which GFL then provides privately, or to permit the city's contracted waste company, GFL, to reverse from cul-de-sacs with the safety person. And this is an ongoing issue in my ward, and we need to have that discussion and resolve it. I'll leave it as a notice until the next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. We now are on to the statements by members. And so can we please have, I don't have anything here from Councillor Pauls. Oh, being on the list, you mean? Oh, I see she's on the list, okay. So Councillor Pauls, Councillor Maureen Wilson, oh, we're on, oh, you have a notice of motion. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not on my roadmap. That's okay, please go ahead. A notice of motion from Councillor Maureen Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Horvath. I'm just serving notice of motion. I'll have it in written form in advance of the next council meeting, that I'm seeking support from this body, that we request that our head of council reach out to the commissioner of the RCMP and or any other body that may be appropriate to request that the scope of their investigation be extended to include the decisions in and around Hamilton's forced urban boundary decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. So then we'll now, so that'll come onto the agenda for next time. We are now going to the statements by members. And so we have Councillor Pauls on the list, and so folks, please let the clerks know if you're interested in speaking, and we'll proceed. Councillor Pauls, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. This past weekend, as many Hamiltonians were preparing to celebrate Thanksgiving, it was so disheartening to learn about the terrorist attack carried out by Hamas against Israel. I am glad that our federal government leaders put partisan politics aside and were united in their respective denouncement of Hamas. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stated that Canada unequivocally and in the strongest possible term condemns these terrorist attacks perpetrated by Hamas. We stand with Israel and reaffirm our support for Israel's right to defend itself in accordance with the international law. The attacks were brutal and horrific. Discriminated killing of civilians, sexual violence, violence against women, children, and elderly people. These acts are sickening. Hamas terrorists aren't resistance. They are not freedom fighters. They are terrorists. The leader of the official opposition, Pierre Poilievre, joined Trudeau with his heartbreaking and outrage as innocent mothers, babies, grandparents, partygoers, and peace activists suddenly lost their lives at the hands of an unprecedented terrorist attack. He added that Hamas is not a militant organization. It is not an activist organization. It is surely not a government. It is a sadistic, demonic, genocidal, terrorist death cult, and it must be defeated and destroyed. He also stated that those who might not have strong opinions about the Middle East, what kind of organization would carry such hideous violence against such obviously innocent people to do it in the most cruel and odious manner, and then boastfully publicize to all to see. This is evil in its purest form, and that evil must be defeated. Hamas does not speak for the Palestinians, nor the Muslims, and certainly not for Canadians. This is why I unreservedly condemn any and all who took part in this disgusting celebration that we have seen in our street. Mayor Horwath, I am glad that Canada is part of a small but bold group that designated Hamas as a terrorist organization. Those joining Canada in this courageous stance include United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, European Union, Japan, Paraguay, and Organization of American States. I wanted to make that public. And I want to shift gear now closer to home. It was with heavy heart that I attended the funeral for Constable Greg Mills last Thursday, October 5th. The 20-year-old police veteran is being remembered as a friendly, generous, and outgoing person. Constable Mills' tragic passing came on the heels of last month's Running for Rachel that took place in my ward, an annual fundraiser now in its 10th year that advances the work of suicide prevention in Hamilton by bringing the community together to promote and hope prevention, help intervention, and heal post-vention through crisis support information, training, education, and support group. No doubt, the men and women of a law enforcement who selflessly serve a city as Constable Greg Mills did are often in situations that can have significant negative impacts on their physical and mental health. The daily sacrifice made in the line of duty take a tangible toll on the mental well-being of Hamilton's finest. As such, the more we can do to engage in conversation about mental health, including within the Hamilton Police Service, the better. And yesterday was the World Mental Health Day. I tweeted my appreciation to the Hamilton Police Service and multidisciplinary team of the community agency in whom they work that have expertise homelessness, addiction, and mental health, and provide resources via a rapid intervention support team called RIST. In fact, just last week, I had the pleasure for attending the mental health monitoring breakfast hosted by St. Joseph Healthcare Foundation, Hamilton, where the Rapid Intervention Support Team, RIST, was honored with the Spirit of Hope Group Award. RIST is comprised of Hamilton Police Service, Hamilton Paramedic Service, Wesley Urban Ministry, the YMCA of Hamilton, Burlington, Brantford, and Hamilton Regional Indian Center, Interval House of Hamilton, St. Joseph Healthcare Foundation, and the John Howard Society, and the Canadian Mental Health Association Hamilton. In addition, Mayor Horwath, I'd like to inform everybody that this Saturday, and I hope everybody can come, October 14, Wayside of Hamilton is holding their annual Step for Wayside at Bayfront Park. Registration starts at 9 with a walk beginning at 10. All money raised will be vital programs and service for those in recovery and increase access to life-saving addiction treatment that helps change the life trajectory of those recovering from addiction. Since 1967, Wayside has provided integrated residential addiction treatment to support housing with 60 integrated beds. In the last year,
Councillor Pauls, you're at 6.5 minutes.
I just want to say
now.
what Wayside did last year because I'm involved if you don't mind, 2 more minutes. Wayside served over 420 men, completed 360 individual assessment, conducted 16,000 face-to-face engagement, provided 7,700 treatment groups, experienced 84 decrease in emergency room visits. I just want to say how important it is to support Wayside. But lastly, 10 seconds. Finally, Mayor Horwath, and you were there. I was honored to attend the Israel Solitary Gathering last night at the Art Gallery of Hamilton and have stood with the Hamilton Jewish community. The somber prayers which I shared were a moving appeal to God. I will continue to stand firm and support the Jewish community. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pauls. We are now on to Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you, Mayor. It's more of a public service announcement. About a month ago, I woke up in the morning and I had floaters in my eye and this weird flashing light. Didn't know what it was. It didn't go away the next day, so I went to the eye doctor. Turns out that I had tears and holes and retinas in both my eyes. So I've had 2 rounds of surgery, double eye, and they believe that they have fixed it and that there will be no issue with a retinal detachment. My warning is to residents, if you wake up and you have floaters in your eyes or flashing lights that you don't usually have, don't ignore it. The eye doctors were very clear that had I ignored it, I probably would have been in serious jeopardy with my vision within a couple of months. So if you see these things, call the doctor, have them look at it. Maybe it's nothing. In my case, it was something. I am keeping these eyeglasses because my granddaughter says they make me look cool. So we'll keep those. But I am very grateful to Dr. Aurora who resolved the issue for me. Just wanted to leave that out to the public. You want to have a Gandhi? You want to have a vote on the glasses?
It's moved by Councillor Clark's granddaughter and seconded by Councillor Clark that he's cool with those glasses on.
And she doesn't care what your opinion is. She's going to say I'm cool anyways.
That's what granddaughters
Thank you.
are for.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Clark, and it's a very important public service announcement, something that people will benefit from your experience. So thank you for sharing your health information publicly. It's not easy to do, and it's appreciated. Okay, so we are now on to Councillor Spadafora, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And just 2 quick points, or maybe 3. First off, a staffing change in the Ward 14 office, and I want to thank Jessica Morrison, who is leaving this week. in preparation for her new baby that is on the way. So I wanted to thank Jessica for all her help over the last several months, and look forward to her naming her son Michael. I just thought I'd throw that out there. And in the same breath, I'd like to welcome Sydney Waxman to the Ward 14 office, and I look forward to having Sydney join the team and being a great addition. And lastly, I just wanted to a quick comment for the Jewish community in Ward 14, the city of Hamilton and beyond. Just my condolences and thoughts and prayers to the families, all Jewish families around the world today and for the next little while. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Spadafora. Councillor Kassar, please.
Thank you, Mayor Horvath. I just wanted to offer an invitation again to the Ancaster Performing Arts Center on October 20th. Sinfonia Ancaster will be holding a concert entitled Land Acknowledgement. So on the heels of the Day for Truth and Reconciliation, this performance will feature compositions by Indigenous composers, as well as including the world premiere of Mohawk composer Don Avery's Indian Territory, commissioned by Sinfonia Ancaster. So again, that's Friday, October 20th at 7 p.m. at the Ancaster Memorial Arts Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kassar. Councillor McMeekin, please.
Thanks, Your Worship. I want to share a concern. The single most important issue in my ward has to do with education and the school, desperately needed school. We've had population growth in the Flamborough Waterdown area of about 30% over the last 5 years. A very diverse community, about 80% of the community, new community is Indian, Punjabi, Middle Eastern, and there's a lot of difficulty within the community in terms of helping various parts of the community come together. A new school would be pivotally important to facilitate community building, notwithstanding John F. Kennedy's admonition that the best measure of progress as a nation is our progress in education. Right? He said that. It's certainly true. The provincial government has invited the school board, as I understand it, to submit two priority issues. They've submitted a Mount Hope school rebuild, I believe, and have repeated for the third year in a row that the number one priority is the new school in Waterdown. There's a mayor, school board chair, political action group that you're part of, Your Worship. I'm not, but I did attend the meeting and spoke with Councillor Taddison, Councillor Beattie, and others about the importance of couple schools. And a resolution was passed there that the City of Hamilton engage actively through your good office to be a unabashed partisan for both schools. I'm speaking, of course, primarily of the need in my community. It's a desperate need. There was a petition of some 600 people pulled together in terms of this issue. So I know you're on top of that, Madam Mayor, and I appreciate that. And I just want to flag it publicly. And I think it's important, really, really important, that the City of Hamilton stand in solidarity with not only the school board, but with the great citizens we have the privilege of representing, to ensure that this omnipresent need is met. And I have every reason to believe, given it's been turned down even though it's been the #1 priority 3 years in a row, that this can simply not continue. So I want to raise that and thank you for your willingness to be an advocate, and I pledge whatever support locally that is necessary, along with the local school board trustee and 600 plus student or residents who are very, very excited about the possibility and insisting that it be carried on and carried through. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor McMeekin. Councillor Alex Wilson, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Really appreciate the chance to share some of what's been going on in Ward 13, whether it's been the Rockton Fair that just happened this past weekend, which was really, always a lot of fun. I have to say I wasn't able to find this year's ugliest carrot, but I did find the most unusual one. That's always what I'm looking for. Or the studio tour that was just happening in Dundas, where local artists were showcasing what they have to offer. I think the fall is a time when our community really comes out and shows what we've been working on, shows the great things going on in our community, and invites really the rest of Hamilton and the region to come in and see all the amazing things that we're up to. And, following the spirit of this tradition of kind of engagement and showcasing what's going on, our office is really excited to be launching the first of what we hope will be a series of events throughout the term, but we know is going to be a series of events throughout the final bit of 2023 regarding our community's relationship to the water. We're really excited to be partnering with the Dundas Museum and their local exhibit that's already going on and will be going on until January, about the history of the Desjardins Canal. And some of the, the past relationship that we've had with our waterways, because we know things like Stewart Gate didn't happen overnight. We know that we've made choices for centuries about our relationship with water, and making different choices is the job of this council, but it's not a one choice. There's not one decision. There's a century of decisions that we're dealing with. So understanding that and looking at those choices, hearing from local watershed stewards about how people are trying to change their relationship with the water today, and then a little bit of a forward look ahead and even an opportunity to tour some of our City of Hamilton assets. Huge thanks to the City of Hamilton Water Department for working with us to open up the Dundas Wastewater Treatment Plant and doing a bit of a doors open there. And so residents will be able to register in the coming days to take a tour of the current Dundas Wastewater Treatment Plant and hear about some of those changes that might be coming to the facility that this term of council will be talking about in later years. So that's happening next Friday, the 20th, at the Dundas Museum, and we're so excited to be inviting folks in and learning more about our relationship with the water and hopefully turning that tide on that relationship as well. Another event that we have going on in the Ward 13 team next week is a community consultation and public meeting on the Bob Kemp Hospice Wentworth Lodge lands on October 19th at Dundana Elementary School. Folks on GIC will know that we've had some important conversations about how those public lands move forward. And at that meeting, we had conversations about having some more public meetings with the local community. So as the hospice plan moves forward, the community is involved at every step of the way and is engaged in that process. The first of those two public meetings is happening on October 19th, and area residents, as well as anyone in Hamilton interested in the development of these public lands, are of course welcome. And we look forward to hosting that space and again inviting community partners and city staff out to have that conversation with community. So, it's maybe not as fun as the Rockton Fair, but we're taking the lead from community and trying to showcase some of the stuff that we have going on this fall as well. And thank you so much for the time.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wilson. We are now going to hear from Councillor Taddison.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to also invite as many people out to Binbrook Little Theatre's production of Steel Magnolias. That's going to be happening from October 13th through the 28th. And there are some special dates, the 14th, 21st, and 28th. I believe those are Saturdays, and you can have dinner and theater at that time. Also, I'd like to note a change in our staff as well. Kristen left on a maternity leave and was replaced by Krista, so that's who's working with me now. And I'd also like to publicly welcome our newest member to our Ward 11 team, little Gordon Patrick, who weighed in at 8 3/4 pounds. Kristen's doing well. They're both at home and they're loving life right now. So that's our newest member, and we're very proud of having him join us. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Taddison. I don't see anybody else wanting to put forward member statements. I would say that a number of the issues that members raised in your comments are ones that I was also thinking about, but no need to, I don't think, repeat the comments made by members. But thank you all for raising the important issues that are ongoing in our community. I do apologize for the last minute or two being a little bit distracted, but very grateful to Clerk Pilon to help guide us through the next section of the agenda. It's only 10:40, so I think we'll just keep moving on. I see nods of glee around the table. And so the next piece that we have is the council communication updates 10.1. So Councillor Taddison, may I please have a motion to receive the council communication updates?
Yes, Mayor, moved by Councillor myself and seconded by Councillor Alex Wilson. The council communication updates from September 22nd, 2023 to October 5th, 2023 be received.
Thanks very much. Let's see, is there any thing listed that folks wanted to address or simply receive as identified? Okay. I see no speakers, and then we'll go to the vote, please. That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. Now, it's my understanding that the necessity to move into closed session that was raised by Councillor Clark has been resolved, as well then as the issue that we cleared up with the referral. Instead of going to closed for that. The other piece of closed is the appointments to the Hamilton Public Library Board of Directors. So unless there's any discussion on the amendments, we don't really need to go into closed, but that's the will of council. So I look to you to see if there's any discussion in that regard. Seeing none, then we'll just we'll go to the vote on the appointments. Or no, do we go backwards now?
No, Councillor Cassar will need to introduce his motion and list the appointments, and then we could vote on that motion.
Okay, so then can we have Councillor Cassar introduce his motion?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Mayor Horvath. This is a motion from me, seconded by Councillor Maureen Wilson, for appointments to the Hamilton Public Library Board of Directors for the 2022 to 2026 council term. That the following citizens be appointed to the Hamilton Public Library Board of Directors for the 2022 to 2026 term, commencing on October 10th, or today, October 11th, we'll say. The members are Gagan Batra, Bree Berry, Kojo Dampney, Dana Firth, Allison Griggs, Jennifer Horvath, Lynn Service, Nicholas Van Velzen, and Carly Whitmore. Maureen Wilson.
Okay, thanks. That's moved by then Councillor Cassar and seconded by Councillor Maureen Wilson. Can we please, I don't see any discussion. That would have had to be in camera, so can we please have the vote? That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. Let's see. Now we go back to the General Issues Committee report, if I'm not mistaken. And we needed to have separate votes on these items, on a couple of items. Clerk Pilon.
Madam Mayor, we need to put the general issues report on the floor. So Councillor Taddison has that motion because we deferred it previously.
Okay. Councillor Taddison, can I have the General Issues Committee report motion, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor A. Wilson, that the General Issues Committee Report 23-026, being the meeting held on Wednesday, October 4th, 2023, be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved.
Okay, thanks very much. My understanding is now we separate out the items for voting independently. Clerk Pilon?
Item 6 was requested as a separate vote.
Yes. And I believe there was another one. Was there not another one? Was there, Councillor Wilson, Maureen Wilson had a separate one as well. Item 7 or item 6? So there's only item 6, just the one. Okay. Oh, right. Councillor Clark's was on planning. I apologize for that. Okay. So we now have the report before us. Is there any further conversation about this report? Seeing none, then we go to we go to item 6 separately. So on item 6, can we have the vote up? This is the issue of the advertising on Meta. So again, just to be clear, the vote would be, if you're in favor of the committee recommendation, you vote yes, and if you are not, you vote no. And that carries 8-6. Thanks very much. Let's see. Thank you. Then we're on the balance of the report. Can we have the motion up, please? I don't believe there's any discussion. So on the vote. That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. Let's see. We are now going to rise from Committee of the Whole. Councillor Taddison, may I have a motion to rise from Committee of the Whole, please?
Yes, Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor A. Wilson, that the Committee of the Whole rise and report.
Thanks very much. Can we have that vote up, please? There we go. That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. We're now on to the bylaws and confirming bylaw. Councillor Taddison, may I have the motion on the bills, please?
Yes, Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor A. Wilson, that bills number 23-185 to number 23-191 be passed, and that the corporate seal be affixed thereto, and that the bylaws be numbered, be signed by the Mayor and the City Clerk.
Thanks very much. Any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote, please. That carries 14-0. Thanks very much. We are now on item 13, adjournment. Can I please have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councillor Taddison, seconded by Councillor Pauls. Can we have the vote up, please? What a bunch of great work we did today. Good job, everyone. Good job.
I would just think that would be so funny.
If I had to, yeah, it would be like this high. I've never had to sign an adjournment. Okay.
That carries 14-0. Thanks very much, everyone. As I said, good work, and a reminder that we are fetting our outgoing city manager at 3 o'clock this afternoon.